Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive. Today, we're taking on a really fascinating topic.
Absolutely.
It's like we're unearthing this hidden map, not in old books, but right there in our DNA.
Exactly, in the genome itself.
We're diving deep into the genetic landscape of Israel, trying to understand what makes the Israeli genome so, well, special. And hopefully uncover some surprising things about identity, heritage, and even health.
Yeah, there's a lot there.
We've got some great sources in new DNA studies, especially this huge one, the Israel Reference Genome Study.
Monumental piece of work, that one.
Right, and historical analyses, too. So our goal here is really to give you a quick way to get up to speed on this. It's complex, but vital stuff.
It really is.
And here's something to think about right off the bat. Imagine finding out that groups you think of as totally separate actually share these deep, ancient connections going back thousands of years.
Yeah.
Like we're talking shared roots from the Bronze Age Levant between, say, modern Israelis and Palestinians.
Right. It really challenges how you might see things.
Definitely challenges preconceived notions.
And what's so compelling, I think, is the sheer amount of data researchers have pulled together for this region. It's like a genetic treasure trove.
Unprecedented, you mean?
Truly unprecedented. And it's so robust, it actually pushes back against some, conventional historical narratives, makes you rethink things. What we're going to explore today really connects that ancient past to what's happening now. And I think it'll offer some real moments for you listening in.
Okay, yeah, those moments that kind of reshape your understanding.
Exactly. About identity, belonging, all of it.
Okay, so let's unpack this then, starting with that idea you mentioned, the shared ancestry.
Right.
It feels powerful, this idea that distinct groups could share such deep roots.
It is.
And recent DNA studies, they're showing something pretty remarkable, aren't they?
They really are.
That Israelis, and that's a broad term, covering Jews, Arabs, Druze, Samaritans.
A diverse group.
They share this fundamental ancestral thread, and specifically close genetic ties between modern Israelis and Palestinians.
That's the finding. It's not just a slight similarity either.
No, it sounds profound, raises a lot of questions.
What's truly fascinating here, and maybe the most surprising bit,
Yeah.
is that these genetic connections, they go back way further than modern divides, political, religious, whatever.
How far back are we talking?
We're talking Bronze Age, Iron Age Levant. So 3,000, maybe 5,000 years ago.
Wow. That's incredible.
It is. Think of it like an ancient family tree. Lots of branches grew in different directions over time.
Right.
But they all connect back to this single deep root system. It tells you a lot about migrations, long-term settlement.
People staying in the same place for a very long time.
Exactly. A continuous human presence.
Right.
It really highlights a shared human story there, a kind of indigenous heritage for many groups.
So it cuts against narratives of complete separation.
Fundamentally, it challenges those ideas of radical difference. It invites you, the listener, to really think about what this shared ancestry means today.
How it impacts our understanding of identity and how these communities evolved.
Precisely.
Okay, that deep history is compelling. But how do scientists actually, prove it? It sounds like more than just theory.
Oh, it's definitely backed by massive scientific effort, not just theory at all.
And this is where it gets really interesting, scientifically speaking.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Israel Reference Genome Study, the IRGS.
Right, a prime example.
Tell us about the scale of that, because it sounds huge.
It was monumental. They didn't just do a few samples. They sequenced whole genomes.
Whole genomes.
From 50 individuals. And this is key, representing over 60 distinct subpopulations within Israel.
60? That's incredibly detailed.
Exactly. Far more detailed than your typical population study. That level of precision is what makes it so groundbreaking.
So it creates this super detailed map.
A uniquely detailed genetic mosaic of the region. Yeah, like going from a blurry photo to high definition. We see connections and nuances we just couldn't see before.
Right, like seeing all the tiny villages and paths on a map, not just the highways.
Good analogy. And it's not just for history buffs. This mapping has huge practical uses.
Okay, like what?
Especially in public health. It helps us understand something called founder mutations.
Founder mutations.
Right.
What are those exactly?
Okay, think of it like this. A small group of people starts a new community, maybe isolated somewhere. Any unique genetic quirks or variants they happen to carry can become much more common in their descendants, just because the gene pool is small.
Ah, okay. Like a genetic fingerprint passed down from the founders.
Exactly. And Israel's diverse communities, many historically isolated by culture or geography, are like these natural laboratories for studying this.
Makes sense.
So the Israeli National Genetic Database, get this, catalogs 1,376 specific pathogenic variants among Israeli Arabs
Wow, over 1,300.
and 890 among Israeli Jews.
Almost 900 there. Those are big numbers.
They are. And many are directly tied to these founder effects in specific communities.
So this isn't just academic.
Not at all. This is a treasure map for doctors. It massively improves genetic disease screening. It allows for precision medicine.
Mean.
Earlier diagnosis, treatments tailored to your specific genetic makeup, even ways to prevent diseases before they start. It directly impacts health outcomes for people right there. And it informs medicine globally.
That's incredibly powerful. The health connection is undeniable.
Absolutely.
So if we take this broader story of shared deep roots, it makes you wonder about specific groups within Israel, especially the Jewish diaspora. How do they fit into this genetic picture?
Yeah, good question.
Do the studies show them as just one block, or are there distinctions?
No, definitely not one block. The studies show clear patterns, what researchers call deeply diverging population clusters.
Okay, so distinct groups.
Very distinct genetic profiles for communities like Ashkenazi Jews, Sephardi Jews, Mizrahi Jews. Each reflects their own unique history, their migrations, where they settled.
But they still connect back.
Yes, that's the key. Despite these distinct profiles, they all show this strong foundational Middle Eastern ancestry. It's like different rivers branching off, maybe picking up different sediments along the way.
But all starting from the same mountain spring?
Exactly. You see those regional admixtures too, like Southern European hints and Ashkenazi, North African, and many Sephardic groups. It paints a picture of their journeys.
So these patterns tell a story of migration and also marrying within the group.
Right, endogamy. That was common practice historically. It preserved cultural identity, but it also maintained and sort of concentrated these specific genetic signatures over time.
Interesting. And speaking of unique signatures and sort of isolated groups, we have to talk about the Druze community in Israel.
Ah, yes, the Druze.
They sound like a really remarkable case, a genetic isolate. What makes their genetics stand out so much?
They really are a fascinating example. Because they've maintained this relative genetic isolation for centuries, studying them gives us incredible clues about past migrations and genetic history generally.
So what are some specifics?
Well, one really striking thing, over half, 52.2% of Druze individuals carry something called the ASPM Haplogroup D.
Okay.
ASPM.
It's a gene variant linked, potentially, to brain size or development. Finding it at over 50% frequency in one group, that's very unusual globally, and it dates back roughly 6,000 years.
Wow, that's specific.
And another one. On the male side, the Y chromosome haplogroup L, it shows up in 27% of Druze on Mount Carmel.
27%, is that high?
Extremely high. Elsewhere in the world, it's usually in the single digits, if present at all.
So unique paternal lines.
Very much so. And on the maternal side, looking at mitochondrial DNA, you see ancient, diverse roots that have just stayed remarkably intact over millennia.
It's like a time capsule. In a genetic sense, yes. Studying groups like the Druze gives us this invaluable window into our shared human past, how populations moved, adapted, and sometimes stayed distinct.
Okay, so pulling all this together, these genetic findings are obviously powerful. They shed light on shared history. They have real health implications. But they also inevitably spark discussions, maybe even controversies, right?
They definitely do. It touches on very sensitive areas.
And it's important for us to say, you know, we're just reporting on the studies and the conversations around them. We're not pushing any particular viewpoint here.
Absolutely. The goal is understanding the science and its implications, including the debates.
So what are some of those main points of discussion or caution?
Well, one big one scholars talk about is the risk of biologizing identity.
Meaning, using DNA to define who belongs where.
Sort of. It's the caution against using genetic data to claim exclusivity for one group, or legitimacy, or boiling down complex cultural identity purely to DNA.
Because identity is more than just genes.
Exactly. It's culture, religion, politics, personal history. DNA is one thread, but it's not the whole tapestry.
Okay. What else?
There's also how we interpret those founder effects we talked about.
The ones linked to specific diseases.
Right. Medically, identifying them is crucial, life-saving even.
But the risk is?
The risk is that focusing on higher rates of certain mutations in specific groups could, if taken out of context, reinforce stereotypes. It's about understanding the medical side without oversimplifying the social meaning.
Got it. Balancing the utility with the potential for misinterpretation.
Precisely. And then there's the whole question around the Jewish genetic clusters.
Ashkenazi, Sephardi,
Yeah.
Mizrahi.
We see these clear genetic patterns reflecting migration, endogamy. But how does that genetic reality mesh with people's lived identity today, religiously, culturally, politically?
Does shared ancestry change how people feel about their specific community identity?
That's the question. Does it diminish unique cultural expressions, or does it enrich them by adding another layer? It's complex.
So it really encourages critical thinking.
Absolutely. You, the listener, should think critically about how genetics informs identity in society, but doesn't dictate it.
Wow. This deep dive has really covered a lot of ground.
It's a big topic.
From those shared ancient roots between groups you might not expect,
Right back to the Bronze Age.
to the really specific health breakthroughs from mapping these populations.
The practical applications are huge.
And then wrestling with what it all means for identity today. It's a much richer, more connected picture than I think many people realize.
It really is.
Thanks so much for joining us on this deep dive into the Israeli genome.
My pleasure. And ultimately, I think looking at our genetic past, it's not just biology, is it?
No.
It really deepens our understanding of human connection, how people moved, how belonging evolves.
Yeah.
It shows this incredible interconnectedness beneath the surface differences.
A story of shared origins, evolving heritage.
Exactly.
It leaves you wondering, what if the biggest aha moment from all this genetic research isn't actually about what makes groups different, but about uncovering these invisible threads that actually tie so many people together, hinting at this shared human story that's still playing out?
That's a powerful thought.
Makes you reflect, doesn't it? How might knowing about shared roots affect understanding, maybe even reconciliation down the line? Or just how we use this amazing scientific data to inform our stories, personal and collective, without letting it define us entirely.
Food for thought.
Definitely. Maybe in our deepest code, we're all far more connected than we ever really imagined.